Trump administration has begun the week with a trio of high-impact immigration moves, ramping up legal challenges, tightening worker access and showcasing a new detention facility deep in the Florida swamplands. The Trump Justice Department is suing Los Angeles over its sanctuary city policies, alleging that local limits on cooperation with ICE violate federal law. In a shift from strict enforcement, the White House is testing a temporary pass program for undocumented migrants working in key U.S. industries, especially farms and meatpacking. Meanwhile, Trump is visiting a controversial new immigration center in Florida's Everglades, nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz. With 5,000 beds and natural barriers, it has become a symbol of the administration's tough on immigration stance. For more now on the changes impacting immigration here in the US, I'm joined by Abel Nunez, the Executive Director of CARECEN, in Central America Resources Center. Abel, great to have you back. Now, what message are organisers hoping to send with the stick of ICE protests?
Well, I think that one is the importance of the immigrant labor force, because one of the things that, one of the impacts of all these deportations is that businesses are going to suffer, industries are going to suffer. We're integrated into this nation, whether you're undocumented or you are a citizen. We're part of the labor force. And so if you begin to apply it blindly, what's going to happen is that you're going to begin to hurt our economy, our ability to be strong, our ability to be a leader in the world. But because of ideology and what promises that the president made during his candidacy, he feels forced to apply it in a way that's really awful, that's really mean-spirited, that wants to just hurt people. But unfortunately, this does nothing for our economy. This does nothing for us becoming or staying a leader in the world.
On Friday, the Supreme Court ruled on a fight between states and the Trump administration when it comes to birthright citizenship. What legal or policy challenges could impact birthright citizenship in the near future?
Well, it's going to create a mess because ultimately states, what the Supreme Court said is that federal judges cannot rule on nationwide injunctions. So that means that in states where lawsuits have not come in or people are not part of a class that is suing the administration, the administration can do what it wants and take away the citizenship. But in practice, it's going to create a mess because hospitals won't know how to adjudicate it. You'll have people that in some states have citizenship and others won't, and they won't know how to enforce it. It'll just create a mess for everyone. It'll create costs for the hospitals. It'll create really a lot of issues for government agencies. But again, this is about sending messages to their base that they are being strong on immigration and they're going to do everything to stop people, particularly people of color, taking the majority in terms of the population in this nation.
Speaking of which, temporary protected status is ending for Haitians in just about a month's time. Why the particular focus on Haitians, and which regions of the US will be most affected, and also what other groups might be impacted by this?
Well, so we know that not only Haitians, but Hondurans. And that for Haitians, that's the Florida region is going to be highly impacted by that. New York is going to be impacted by that. And again, these are people. So if you remember when the whole thing about eating cats and dogs came about, a lot of those were Haitian immigrants that were taking over industries where those companies could not find American workers to take those jobs. So again, as immigration is becoming much harsher and people are losing their status, companies are going to lose workers. And so again, this is going to weaken the U.S. economy, not make it strong. And I think that it's a focus on people of color, right? You have an administration that wants to make sure that this country closes all the doors to immigration, especially those coming from the global south.
Then why is the Trump administration ending TPS and then starting this new temporary migrant worker pass for some industries? Can you talk a little bit about how they, balance that argument?
Well, I think that the reality is that when the application of immigration law by ICE as it's being implemented now, it began to impact multiple industries, and those industries, those leaders started calling the White House, about the impact it was having on their business. And so the Trump administration within DHS needed to figure out how they can manage that. And so they're trying to offer temporary or other types of statuses. But the reality is that then you're still keeping people here in some type of status. And so I think that just goes to show how important the labor market needs immigrants independent of their status. And so to the extent that Congress can really fix this issue, that'll resolve it, not executive orders or the whims of a president that's really acting in racist manner.
Meanwhile, ICE raids continue. How are local governments and law enforcement responding to pressure from federal immigration authorities, particularly in those sanctuary cities like Los Angeles?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of those cities, are still holding to their to the sanctuary policies that they have approved, right? I think that you see places like Florida where they're going in, right? Texas, red states that they will go in and collaborate with ICE, but in blue areas where they have sanctuary, they won't. But all it means is that local police force is not going to use their resources to apply federal law. They want to make sure that the federal government does that, right? They believe in separation, which is very interesting because Republicans were all about states' rights when it came to abortion and multiple other issues. But this is a state rights issue, is the ability of any state to sort of manage its own resources. But for this, somehow, they want to be federalists. They want to make sure that federal law rules. But, so I think there's a lot of hypocrisy in terms of the Trump administration and a lot of these politicians that when it suits them, call out state rights, but when it doesn't, then the federal government should mandate the law.
Right. The fabric of America's economy has been built on the migrant worker. What are the broader implications of these raids for businesses large and small across the country?
Well, the reality is that even if people are not picked up, the fact that ICE is around creates a sense of fear, and so workers begin to not show up. So we begin to see that, like in restaurants cannot open, cannot continue the business, and if you continue to apply this pressure, even if people are not getting arrested or put in detention centers, people will shift and move around. Right, they will leave that employment because they won't feel safe anymore. And what we'll see is this sort of churn of people just moving around from job to job, but employers not being able to keep workers, and it's going to impact their bottom line because they won't be able to stay open, they won't be able to produce at their maximum efficient level, and so you're now impacting the way businesses operates in this country. Now, whether that's right or wrong, Congress can fix that, but unfortunately the policies of the Trump administration is just entirely enforcement, and that is only going to cause pain for everyone.
All right, we'll leave it there. Abel Nunez, Executive Director of CARECEN, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.